Urgency was the name of the game when it came time to issue the warning, "Evacuate now." A phrase that couldn't have been more important in the days leading up to Hurricane Katrina. Back in the spring of 2005, I began sharing my weather insights by blogging for Weather Underground, the weather service I created. Early on, the weather was relatively calm, making it tough to find compelling topics to cover. I was actually glad when June brought a pair of Atlantic tropical storms, providing some fresh material to write about. Then July came along and flipped the script entirely. That month saw an unprecedented surge with 5 named storms, 3 full hurricanes, and 2 major hurricanes that ranked as the strongest ever recorded so early in the season. Yet surprisingly, even with such intense activity, I was secretly hoping for some quiet so I could catch my breath. The official peak of hurricane season hadn't even arrived yet. In mid-August, taking advantage of a brief lull, I mixed a bit of business with pleasure and traveled to New York City. On August 24th, the day Katrina was officially named, I was busy in meetings with the Associated Press. AP had just signed on to use Weather Underground as the weather source for their vast network of 5,000 newspapers, so it was an exciting but hectic day. Because of those commitments, I couldn't track the storm closely, and I sensed something unsettling about Katrina. When a member of the AP staff jokingly commented, "It sure has been a slow summer for news. We need a big story," I looked at her intently and thought, be careful what you wish for. You might actually get one. I returned home on Thursday, August 25th, as Katrina was strengthening and moving toward South Florida. The next day, my family and I drove north to spend a long weekend at my dad's house in a small town called Topinabee, Michigan, on the scenic Mullet Lake. Given the town's slow 9,600 baud dial-up connection instead of high-speed internet, I knew I'd be spending quite a bit of time writing blog updates despite the technical limits. I still had confidence in the National Hurricane Center's morning forecast, predicting Katrina would curve northward and strike the Florida Panhandle, unlikely to intensify into a major hurricane. But I was wrong. By that evening, the NHC shifted the forecast dramatically, about 200 miles west, putting New Orleans in the storm's crosshairs. I spent nearly the entire weekend holed up in the upstairs computer room, tapping away posts increasingly urgent in tone, urging those in New Orleans and Mississippi to evacuate immediately. Occasionally, I'd wave to my family downstairs, but would quickly return to the screen, anxiously monitoring pages that loaded at a crawl. Eventually, convinced the danger was too great, I persuaded my family to cut our trip short and head home Sunday, August 28, one day before Katrina's devastating landfall in Mississippi. Here's a snapshot from one of my blog posts on August 27th at 10 a.m. Eastern, 2 days before Katrina touched down. I'd hate to be an emergency management official in New Orleans right now. Katrina is tracking almost exactly as the National Hurricane Center predicted, and it looks like it will come very close to the city. I'm surprised no evacuation has been ordered yet. Even if the chances of a total flood wiping out New Orleans seem to be around 10%, that's far too high a risk to keep people inside. If I lived there, I would evacuate immediately. And there's a sobering reality behind the city's preparedness. The coroner's office keeps 10,000 body bags ready. The threat from this storm is enormous, and a few days away could save lives. New Orleans needs at least 72 hours to evacuate fully, but the storm is less than that away. Don't wait. Leave now, before traffic gets snarled. Remember, few will be going to work or school on Monday anyway. Once an evacuation is ordered, not everyone might be able to get out, especially the estimated 60,000 residents without cars. In the weeks following, hearing from readers who heeded my warnings and escaped before Katrina struck was deeply rewarding. Fellow meteorologist Steve Gregory, also blogging for Weather Underground about the looming catastrophe, shared similar stories. Raising the alarm was unquestionably the right thing to do. Now, if only we could inspire that same urgency about climate change. Bob Henson, my colleague from Weather Underground and Yale Climate Connections, was actually at the National Hurricane Center, when Katrina passed over Miami on August 25th as a Category 1 hurricane. He recalls, "From inside the NHC's reinforced windows, I watched rain sheets blown almost horizontally by fierce winds. We even stepped out briefly during the eye, when the winds calmed and the skies were mostly cloudy, with lightning dancing on the horizon." It was the first time that director Max Mayfield, specialist Likshan Avila, and I had experienced the eerie calm of a hurricane's eye firsthand. Looking ahead, I'll soon share a follow-up piece marking the 20th anniversary of Katrina with a deep dive titled, "What Happens When the Next Big Hurricane Hits New Orleans?" Bob Henson helped contribute to this post. One final note, I invite you to reflect on this. Was the evacuation response in 2005 truly adequate? Could more lives have been saved with an earlier, more forceful push? And while warning people to flee from a hurricane seems obvious now, what lessons still remain unlearned when it comes to responding to natural disasters? What do you think? Share your thoughts and spark the conversation below. Jeff Masters, Ph.D., formerly a hurricane scientist with NOAA's Hurricane Hunters from 1986 to 1990, survived a near-fatal flight into Category 5 Hurricane Hugo before leaving to continue his career focusing on weather communication and science education.